March of the Machine has one of the coolest card designs we've seen. Team-up cards. Characters from across the multiverse teaming up on a single card. So here's what I think is the best team-up card for Commander, as well as 10 or so mostly budget cards to go with them. And on top of that, a link to a $100 budget Commander deck. So without further ado, let's check out Zimone and Dina. Zimone and Dina is a 3-mana Sultai 3/4 human dryad that says, whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It also has tap, sacrifice another creature, draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 8 or more lands, repeat this process once. Now, I've already stated in one of my earlier videos that the Sultai colour wedge is an amazing combination of colours, as it can do nearly everything. Powerfully statted creatures, the best removal in the game, the best protection in the game, it can easily ramp, it can draw cards, and it can counter spells. So what's the game plan? Firstly, we want to make full use of that ability and activate it as many times as we can and overwhelm our opponents with value, life drain, and perhaps a Lab Maniac. Outside of that, we're simply ramping, drawing cards, protecting our permanent, and destroying any threats. So first, we need some creatures to sacrifice. Rampaging Balos, Zendikar's Royal, and Spore Mound are all the top picks here, and if you already own one, while not as budget friendly as some of the other cards, Scute Swarm is perfect here. Rampaging Balos is a 6-mana 6/6 with trample that says, whenever a land enters the battlefield, put a 4/4 green beast into play. Zendikar's Royal is a 5-mana enchantment that says, whenever a land enters the battlefield, put a 2/2 green elemental into play. And Spore Mound, a 5-mana 3/3 that says, whenever a land enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 sapling to play. And to wrap it off, Scute Swarm, a 1/1 for 3 that says, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scute Swarm instead. All 4 of these cards are a must include in this deck, because if we find a way to untap Zimone and Dina, they all provide unlimited fuel for that awesome ability. And would you believe it, there's a card that combos perfectly. Who remembers Retreat to the Coral Helm? This 3-mana enchantment from Battle for Zendikar says, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose one. You may tap or untap target creature, or scry one. So with Zimone and Dina in play, one of our landfall token producers, and this enchantment, we can infinitely activate Zimone and Dina's ability, as long as we have a land to play from our hand. But given the fact you should be drawing 2 cards per activation, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Another excellent landfall creature to pick up is Tireless Provisioner, a 3-mana 3/2 that says, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a food token or a treasure token. Because the lands we put into play with Zimone and Dina's ability come into play tapped, Tireless Provisioner gives us a way to generate mana and continue casting spells in between activations. Of course, if you're lucky enough to have one of these, Amulet of Vigor alleviates all of these issues. Amulet of Vigor is a 1-mana artifact that says, whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped under your control, untap it. So all those lands that would come into play tapped, get untapped, allowing you to use them straight away. Unfortunately though, Amulet is a $30 card, however you could always pick up Stone Cedar Hierophant to do practically the same job at just 50 cents. But it's a little bit more clunky. The last couple of budget cards I'm looking to pick up are the cards that say, whenever you draw your second card each turn, do something. Let's quickly go over the main 3 I'm eyeing up. First, we have Min, Wily Illusionist, a 3-mana 1/3 that says, whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with this creature gets +1/+0 for each other illusion you control. And whenever an illusion you control dies, you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to that creature's power from your hand onto the battlefield. Next we have Joral, Mawonvulai Recluse, a 2 mana 1/2 that says, whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. And for 4, a green and a green, until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. And finally, Gixian Puppeteer, a 4 mana 4/3 that says, whenever you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And when Gixian Puppeteer dies, return another target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So both Min and Joral both create creatures for us to sacrifice to Zimone and Dina's ability, and they also both trigger off their ability too, so there's a great synergy there. Min can also let us effectively flash in permanents for free as long as we have enough illusions and a sacrifice outlet. On the other hand, Joral allows us to potentially end the game by buffing all of our creatures' base power and toughness equal to the number of cards we have in our hand. Throw in a Primal Rage or Old One Eye to give our creatures trample, and we probably have lethal for the whole table. Gixian Puppeteers is just a nice cheap way to apply pressure to all of our opponents while keeping our own life total topped up as we draw multiple cards in a turn. Puppeteer can also bring back Min and Joral from the graveyard if needed. Last but not least, 3 other cards I've got my eye on: Thought Reflection to draw a bunch more cards, Retreat to Hagra to drain life from our opponents, and Awakening Zone, which gives us a bunch more sacrifice fodder or ramp depending on what we need. As I mentioned, I've built a $100 budget commander deck for Zimone and Dina, and there's a link to the full deck list in the description down below. If you like the look of it, don't forget to give this video a like. If you want to see more commander content, how about you check out this video here, or you could subscribe to the channel and show your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.